Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our Monday review show. We've not done this for a while, so it's great to be back. Great to be doing this again, and great to have Gaurav back on the show. Gaurav, welcome once again.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Rohit.
Yes, and it's Valentine's Day. Well, for some of us, still it will be Valentine's Day when this is released. For some, Valentine's Day will be over. But so happy Valentine's Day for those of you who do celebrate this Hallmark holiday. It's great, but there's a lot of love in the air, but there's also a lot of heartbreak, and we'll be covering both of these things because there is a lot of heartbreak when it comes to football. But then let's start with something nice. Let's start with since we got Gaurav here, and let's start with Manchester City and the game against Norwich. I mean, it was a nice little comfortable win for City. 4-0. Rest a few players for the Champions League game. Not that they need to, because I think it's a pretty easy tie, but nonetheless, they rest a few players. Get everybody ready and get a nice little win. Even give our chances to a few reserve players as well on a nice day.
Yeah, definitely. And most of the players, important players like Bruno, Rodri, who have been playing quite regularly since like last 2 weeks or so, have definitely got rest. And good to see Sterling finally getting kind of his form back as well. He will be a very important player towards the end of the season. I know that. So yeah, all in all, a very good result.
Yeah, and you get to see Nathan Aki for a bit. You get to see Zinchenko for a bit. So and I'm pretty excited actually. I also like to see Liam Delap because I think he's a decent player that we've been hearing a lot about. So it was nice to see him get some time as well. All in all, a good result. I mean, City coasting along, I guess. Gaurav. They just need another 30. I did the math. They need 34 points to win the title. Now, one of those games is against Liverpool, so they win that. They might need less actually. They win that one, but 34 points, so Liverpool can stay perfect. It's a matter now really of just collecting the points, isn't it, as they come.
Definitely, I think we have 3-4 kind of not really tough, but difficult fixtures coming ahead. I think we play Spurs next. And we also have...
Are you saying Spurs is a difficult picture?
You never know. I think they have got content in some matches. They are playing really good, and they have been inconsistent. But you never know. They are a good team.
Yeah,
and the same can be said about United as well, right?
Well, no, I will come to that one later. That's the heartbreak part, isn't it? For me anyway. But it's interesting with Spurs because they keep losing games, but they are chasing a double against City. Now that's an incredible thing, isn't it? It will be a double over City. And that's some of the weird results that the league throws up once in a while. But yeah, but I guess they still got Spurs. They've still got to play Liverpool, I guess. And have they played Chelsea already, or they still yet to play Chelsea?
We have.
You already played Chelsea twice. Okay. Yeah. All right, okay. Chelsea. I feel like remember that one. Yeah. Oh yes, that was the one. Yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that was a depressing game to watch. But yes. You still Liverpool and Spurs. I think those are the only two difficult games because Arsenal is done. And then the other one, Chelsea are done already. So maybe there's like some of the Wolves, and I don't actually. Are you still yet to play West Ham? Yes, I think you still are yet to play West Ham.
We still have to play Wolves, I think, and it's an away game as well, from what I remember. So that could be a tricky one.
Yeah, Wolves will be tricky. Yes, we'll talk about Wolves as well, Wolves and West Ham. So there's a few tricky games in there. But Liverpool still have to play Chelsea. And that will be them twice actually, because they also got a League Cup final coming up against Everton. So we've still got that. And they've got to go to Chelsea. Liverpool have got to play Chelsea. I believe Liverpool have also got to play. I believe they still have to play Spurs as well. I don't think Liverpool have played Spurs either. Yeah, so I think they do have to play Spurs. And they still have to play West Ham as well. West Ham actually beat Liverpool, so that will be a tough one for Liverpool as well. Yeah. So again, with the math that it is, how easy do you think it will be on a scale of 1 to 10? How easy will it be for City to win the league? Because they're winning the league. The only question is how easy will it be? So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being easiest, 1 being not so easy. How easy do you think it will be?
Honestly, I don't think it's going to be that easy. Liverpool have games.
I don't need you to replace you. Oh.
See, if Liverpool beat us, the difference is only 3 points, right? Mm-hmm. That's one bad game, and they would be level with us. So, but the thing is, everyone knows Liverpool are not going to win all of their matches. They are definitely going to drop points. So, a scale of 1 to 10, I'll probably say 7.
7. Yeah, I think 7 is probably 6 or 7 probably is about right. Yeah, I think City will win the league, but just a matter of how much Liverpool can push them to do it, I guess, is the question. And we'll come to Liverpool, actually, because that's interesting. Klopp said at the start of the last game, he said, this is his best squad that he's ever had at Liverpool. Do you agree with that assessment, that this is the best squad that he's ever had?
Yeah, kind of agree with him. I think they finally have a good enough squad depth as well. If they have a 2-3 players on the bench, they can bring on to change the game if the game is not going in the favor. So definitely, yeah, this is probably the best squad he ever had at Liverpool.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that, because they won a Champions League and a Premier League, and yet he's saying this is the best. But I think in January kind of went the way that he wanted it to go, with Luis Diaz coming in. He got that. Now he's at that. I think now they've actually got good backups for Salah, Mane, and Firmino, because Jota is there. And I mean, Jota probably is not a backup for Firmino anymore. I think he's a starter in his own right. But yeah, you've got enough depth now with Origi, Jota, and then you also got Luis Diaz now coming in as well. So, and they wanted Carvalho as well, which they didn't get, but they got that, and that's just a replacement. That's the next line, that goes. So yeah, I think, and then they've got good midfield options as well, good defensive options as well. I think it makes sense. Yeah, they do have a very strong squad. And they might be contenders next season. I think this season they might have left it a bit too late to get the title. Yep. I think next season definitely they will be, well, they're already there, but they probably will be again closer to City than they already are. So yeah,
Van Dijk injury also hasn't helped it, right?
That was, I think for his return to come back from injury, now he's probably coming back to his rhythm, which is good for him, good for the Netherlands as well. I do support the Netherlands internationally, so it's always good to see Van Dijk do well from that perspective. Not that sad that he plays for Liverpool, but it's good to see Van Dijk doing well and getting back in shape as well for that. So Liverpool. Again, 1-0 win over Burnley. Not exactly pretty, but sometimes Burnley are like that. It's always a difficult sort of place to play. It's difficult to kind of get a goal, but it was a good 3 points in the end. And maybe the lack of goals would be a problem, but against Burnley, you kind of take what you can get.
Yeah, definitely. And these are the kind of games, you would say that wins you the title, grinding out results like that. And I honestly think that Burnley played really good in the first half. They could have scored a couple of goals. So you could say that Liverpool got lucky, or maybe their finishing was bad, Burnley, But yeah, definitely.
Finishing is bad.
Result. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, it's a difficult thing to know where the goals are going to come from for them. I mean, unless they play, other mid-table clubs who give them goals. No one in particular. But otherwise, it's going to be tough for them. And speaking of Burnley, Gaurav, trouble time for them. Looks like they're going down. You think it's
actually very close this season. Still don't have an idea how it will go on. Most of us thought Norwich were going down, and like they have kind of find their form in the last 3-4 games. They have got good results, but yeah, looking at the current form and the current table, they could be going down, but I'm not really sure what would be happening at the end of the season. It's
I think Newcastle
right now.
Yeah, Newcastle were looking like they were going to go towards safety, and then now Kieran Trippier is injured, so that will be one to watch as to what happens there. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it, you've got Norwich, you've got Burnley, then you've got Watford. I think Watford are probably the ones now, the dead certs that they put on, just for the fact that they don't even know their manager. I mean, you don't even know how long their manager is going to last. So I think Watford are pretty much dead certs to go down. And then you've got Everton.
Right? Yeah.
Might get sucked in. Leeds might get sucked in. So it's still there. You've got 4 or 5 teams, but it just feels like Burnley and Norwich still look like the teams that are most likely in danger of going down, just for the fact that you don't know where they're going to pick up the points from. I mean, I think Norwich can get results, but Burnley just don't seem like they can pick up wins, which is, I think, what they need at this point. More than draws, I think they need wins. So it will be.
But right now, it looks like it would be Burnley, Watford, and Norwich.
Yeah, that it seems that way. Those 3. Unless
but the difference between the 16, 17, and 18, this point is so less that you never know what will happen. A couple of bad games and complete scenario could change, even for Everton or Leeds.
Burnley is still only 9 points off, or 7 points off Newcastle. They do have 2 games in hand. So if they win those 2 games, they'll only be a point off. So I mean, there's still hope. The only question is whether they can win those 2 games in hand or not. And then of course, Everton are only a point above Newcastle, but then they do have played a game less. So I mean, there's things here, and then there's mitigation. That's the problem, isn't it, with having so many games that have been postponed and things like that. We just don't know what to make of the league until we see everybody on level footing. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. The relegation fights always are interesting. And we don't really have much else this season to look forward to in some ways. So I mean, yeah, the relegation fight will be interesting. Speaking of which, well, let's talk about another one of the nice games. But you talk about Spurs, because I think this one again interesting. So, God, is it possible? You know, I mean, I didn't see the interview, but a lot of people said Conte looked checked out. He looked like he was already done with this team. In some ways, this body language was a bit off. Do you feel like there's at some point Conte is going to go, I can't work with this team, and I need a new team in the summer? Because that's something Conte does too. He can do it within 6 months. He did it at the Inter. Within 6 months, the whole team was completely changed. Again, that was Inter. They had money. He might want to do that at Spurs as well. It's like, I mean, yeah, I need to change this team. And I mean, do you feel that way with Conte? Or do you feel like it's going to take some time to kind of get his ideas across, and this team can do it?
I mean, the problem is, I don't think Conte is the type of guy who will, wait around for a year or two. He will just say, give me these players, or I'm going off.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. So, and as we see, United are probably looking for a manager as well next season, definitely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could be an option.
He's not an option. Could be an option, and we'll talk about that. But he's not an option for Man United. That's for sure. But yeah, I don't mean in terms of leaving or sacking. I just wonder if Conte thought that he could do this at Spurs, and then suddenly he's like, this is why I can't do it, because there's just something at the club that there's something there that holds them back, and he can't seem to overcome that block, for the players.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think like a lot of players, like a lot of midfield players and players in the defense, mid-table kind of players. They were better suited to the bottom half of the table. I think their front line is really good, and Ali was probably their best midfielder a couple of seasons ago. Most talented of them all. He all of a sudden he completely went out of form, and they sold him. The problem is they have sold players and they haven't really replaced them. Like they have got players, but quality isn't there. So he was always going to struggle. He probably didn't think like that, when he signed for Spurs, but now he probably realizes that quality is lacking.
Yeah, and it's also harder when players don't join. I mean, you want Adama Traore, but he says, I'm off to Barcelona. You may want someone like, Bentancur. Well, they did get Bentancur actually. But I think they were trying for Zakaria. They were trying for a few others as well. And they just all said, no, we're going to some other club, because other clubs come in and take those players. So it's hard for them, isn't it? With that. But just coming to this particular game, what did you make? I mean, and we'll talk about Wolves as well, because I think this is an interesting one to talk about Wolves. But I mean, is it possible that a lot of the players themselves are like, well, we don't believe in ourselves to make this, and so therefore we're not going to try as hard, or maybe some of them even probably feel that Conte doesn't. I mean, it's hard, right? When a manager comes out and says, I want new signings, and so he's basically saying this squad is not good enough, and then he's now got to go back to those players and say, I think I need you to play for me and get a stop for. They'll do a lot of them just go, well, he doesn't rate us, so why should we play for him?
It definitely affects their morale. And it's kind of weird, like one game they play really well, they get good results. The Kane is firing, Son is playing good as well. They got like who plays on the other wing?
Bowen, Mora.
Mora. He looks like a really good. One game it looks like a really good player, and the next game like he's completely a different player. So it's kind of problem for them. Like, the players are not consistent, and we probably don't believe in Conte right now, especially with his statements that he needs new players and all.
Yeah, I mean, also looking at midfield, Winks and Bentancur is probably like the worst midfield that you can have. As a midfield too, is probably the worst that you can have, because they don't have a lot of creativity. And I say this as a United fan, I have some very, very bad midfields. But speaking of Wolves, though, Gaurav, think they can make a push for top 4, because they're not that far off. The goal scoring is an issue, but they're not that far off points wise. Do you see? I mean, definitely the challenges. Do you see them having a chance, a shot at top 4?
No, I don't think so. Like they could be playing in the Europa League, but top 4 would be a really difficult task for them.
Yeah, well, because I mean, the thing is, they're not that far off. They're at the moment just 4 points off of West Ham, but they have 2 games in hand. So if they win those 2 games, they will go above West. They will go West Ham. They're 3 points level. They will go level. They have 1 game in hand on United. so they will go level with them. But I mean, Arsenal are still 2 points clear and they have 2 games in hand. So again, excuse things with the games in hand, but I didn't have a shot. I think the good thing about them is they don't concede goals at all. I mean, it's like I think they're just so difficult to score against. They don't score a lot, but they make it very difficult to score against them. So that makes it, it's good.
But his numbers were really good. He was, creating chances was always an issue. The final ball was always lacking for him, and he didn't score as many goals as well. So, all in all, I don't think they're going to miss him.
Yeah, well, I mean, but he's doing good at Barcelona at the moment. Seems to be doing at least having a good start. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that at the moment they've got Nori, I guess, and Semedo, who are playing on the wing. So they're kind of playing, I guess, with fullbacks as wingbacks as opposed to wingers as wingbacks. So that will be interesting. So yeah, so it just looks like he's just saying, I'm going to be as defensive as possible and try and get a goal and hold out. I mean, it might work, it might not work. But yeah, they currently have only scored 36 goals. So that is something to look at and see if they can kind of use that and maybe make it. I mean, the teams, the top 4 chasing teams are falling over themselves to try to get that. At the moment, though, Gaurav, it's coming home because the 4th spot could be Arsenal's, and it's coming home for Arsenal. Like Arsenal could do the whole campaign. It's coming home because that was their monopoly in the 4th spot, wasn't it? I mean, they didn't play this weekend, obviously, which is kind of good for them, I guess. But they're probably the big winners when they're in that top 4 race, because everybody around them, aside from Wolves, they all drop points. They're supposed to challengers, West Ham, Spurs, they both drop points. So it's good for them in that way because now they've got games in hand and also they can increase that gap.
Yeah, definitely it was, and I think kind of form they've shown in the recent last 4 or 5 games, they could be finishing at their favored 4th spot, especially with
No, please finish.
Yeah, especially with United struggling. I actually thought United will finish in the top 4 like 3 or 4 weeks back, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen right now. And West Ham and Wolves will definitely, in Spurs will definitely challenge them. But I think the 4th spot will definitely go to Arsenal this time.
I think so too. Yeah, I think Arsenal. I just think they have a very good, well-balanced team. I know we haven't seen them, but I just feel that they have if they get that balance right, which they and as long as they don't get players sent off, if that balance right, they generally do get that 4th spot. It's just I mean, it's difficult to make. West Ham do have the Europa League run that they will have, which by the way, they can win that. They could win that. I mean, I know there's Barcelona, there's Dortmund, there's still big teams now this season in the Europa League. So they've got big teams, but they could win that and they'll be in the Champions League. Spurs have no European competition, which might be an advantage. So we'll have to see what happens there. I think Wolves will also have no European competition and no FA Cup as well. So I think they might also benefit from that. Yeah, but we'll see which one of those 4 teams make it in the top 4. So be very, very interesting. And that's a nice race to have there. With that one. Chelsea, by the way, winning the Club World Cup. I know we're not talking about that. This is a Premier League review show, but congratulations to Chelsea for winning the Club World Cup. Very few English clubs have ever won that competition. So welcome to that elite group of clubs that have won it. To them, I won't talk much about that, but we'll see what happens there. And I mean, let's also talk about West Ham, Gaurav. I mean, in particular, I want to talk about Jared Bowen. I know Declan Rice takes all the headlines. But Jared Bowen is someone special. There's a special talent, isn't he? He looks special talent. Someone who could possibly be a breakout star next season.
Who? Sorry,
Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen. I don't know if you.
Yeah, definitely. A very good signing for fantasy league as well.
I know fantasy league signing is definitely a good one. Yeah. A lot of people talk about Declan Rice, but I think Jared Bowen is like an underrated, not underrated, but under the radar. He kind of goes under the radar a little bit. Might be someone that might be of interest for a Chelsea or an Arsenal or Liverpool maybe, or I don't know if City need another winger, but yeah, I mean one of those clubs. It probably would be a good signing for them to look at. Yeah, he's someone special. With regards to West Ham, Gaurav, do you feel like they're starting to feel the pressure of having that these so many games? They've had to play Europa League, they've got the league as well. Do you see them feeling that pressure of having to play so many games? And especially with the whole Zuma thing that has been going on, it's been happening as well. Do you feel like they're starting to feel that pressure, or do you think it was just that they're reverting back to the mean of what the squad is capable of?
I honestly think that the expectations have gone to their. The players had 4 or 5 or let's say 7 weeks back. they weren't really expected to, be in this space. And now when they've got their facing that mental challenge, the mental block to get ahead and get points, and that's definitely showing. Plus, the players are a little bit fatigued as well. Especially, it will get even tougher with the Europa League, knockout games coming on. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and also wonder if it happens because when you're a West Ham team in the past, you're probably seen as a relegation candidate, or you're seen as a mid-table team. So other teams want to take points off of you because that's they want to attack you because they see you as a 3-point, as a candidate that you can take 3 points, that you have to take 3 points from. Now that they're seen as a top 4 contender, top 6 team, then it's a different matter. Then you look at it, well, a draw against them would be a good result, right? And then you kind of park the bus, and then it's up to West Ham to break them down. And maybe they don't have that ability to break down teams that park the bus, which I think is something that Moy is meaning to work on to try to do that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see if it does that. I mean, I know there are lots of problems with teams that park the bus. I mean, Moyes himself parks the bus at times. So I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But do you see them going far in the Europa League? I know they're not playing now because they've got the round of 16. Sorry, the round of the pre round of 16. I don't even know what to call it. But the pre-round of 16, they've got that off now. Round 2, they're not going to play in that because of the new format. But you see them going far? Where do you see them going in the Europa?
I think it will all depend on the draws. Like if they get Barcelona or Dortmund, then I definitely think they're going to get out. But kind of like good kind draw to them, and they could probably make to the semis. I think.
Semis, yeah, that'll be interesting. They could make it to the semis. Would be a nice thing for West Ham to have. Yeah. I think they could go to a Fulham and get to the final. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they could get to the final. They could do a Fulham and get to the final. They certainly have the capability. And they have some form players. I mean, it will all depend on the draw, as you said. It will depend on the draw and all of that. But yeah, I could see them making the finals as well. That'll be interesting as well. And I mean, yeah, let's talk about, speaking of Valentine's Day, let's talk about heartbreaks. I've got to talk about Manchester United. I mean, Gaurav, I don't know if you've seen the game, and it's fine if you didn't, but it just, it almost is like a carbon copy, isn't it? That United take the lead in the first half, then they, and then they concede it in between or after around that. There are some screwy ref decisions. I mean, there was against Borough, there was a screwy decision for the equalizer. United got screwed out of a goal in the last game, and then this one, the ref screwed United again by not sending off Maguire. Yeah, that's a joke, but I'm dish. That would have been an advantage. They sent off Maguire, for 3 games. I mean, it's a template. I mean, it's a problem for United, isn't it? And I won't dwell too much on it, but the fact that they score and then they concede in the second half. I mean, there's a lot of. Is it a mental issue? Is it a fitness issue? As a neutral, what do you think it is?
Honestly, to be honest, I think they're not getting what the coach is, how he's trying. He wants them to play. They're not getting that. A lot of players, I think they don't want to play that way, maybe. And if you look at the squad, I honestly think United right now are like 4 or 5 players short of challenging Liverpool or City next season for the title. I mean, at the start of the season, it looked like a good team, and I honestly thought that they could be challenging for the title. When they got, especially when they got Ronaldo, but there's no one in their midfield to control the tempo of the game, like someone like Gundogan or Fabinho or Rodri, yeah. And even their defense looks like with Maguire, it looks vulnerable, and I don't think they have a good enough right back as well. So there are a lot of like players who should be going right now, and they should be targeting world class players. So right now, I think there are at least 4 or 5 players short of challenging Liverpool.
I think the 4 or 5 players short just of challenging for the top 4. I don't even think Liverpool, Chelsea, City. That's like it's like it's like an island away. It's way too far away. And I mean, I can probably do a video later this week about talking about that. But I mean, it's weird in a way because I mean, you said it. We're talking about a title challenge at the start of the season, and then they never got there. And then in some ways, they probably never got there. I honestly don't think it's an issue of players not wanting to do what Rangnick is saying. I think they just can't do it. They just don't have the ability. I mean, none of those players, have that. I mean, maybe 1 or 2, maybe have that ability to maybe carry out those instructions, but most of them don't. They just can't. Sancho probably is the only one who can because he's played in that system in Germany, right? He's played under German coaches, so he kind of understands. So maybe that's why he's doing so well. But other than that, I honestly don't know anybody else who has that ability to even, listen to those instructions and follow them. So yeah, I mean, it's weird. I mean, let's just talk about Harry Maguire. And I actually want to talk about Harry Maguire and talk about him in relation to Ruben Diaz, because I think that is a very interesting conversation. Now, I don't think Ruben Diaz is very fast. And I don't know what you think. I don't think he's very fast, right? And Maguire is not fast either. The difference what I see, and at least when I first saw Ruben Diaz, what I liked about him was that his reading of the game was great. He's one of those players that when you're in the opposition, right, and a ball comes in, and you always wonder why the hell are these guys hitting balls to the defender? Why are they always hitting balls to the defender? And then maybe after a while you realize, they're not hitting balls to the defender. The defender is in the right position every time to make that block or to make that interception. Right? And that's what Ruben Diaz has. He's not fast, but he's got this reading of the game. Harry Maguire doesn't have that. I mean, his reading of the game is so bad. And that's why, what people don't notice is his first step is always back. He doesn't go forward. He always goes back because he's so scared about people running past him and he can't catch up, that his first step is always to go back. And that just gives people space. And I mean, it's not space, but it's more about the fact that his thinking is so slow that he can't do anything. And I mean, I don't know, Gaurav, do you think that is coachable? Do you think that is, something that can be worked on? Or do you think that is just something that he's never going to learn? I mean, and again, I talked with Savi Ruben Diaz because, just some comparison that it's not about pace. It's more about the mind rather than the legs. And you can compensate. You can compensate a little bit. You can't obviously compensate pace fully, but if you read the game well, you can compensate it. Do you think that is coachable, or do you think that is just something that you're born with it or you're not?
I don't think right now he's at the age, where these things like this could be taught. Maybe like he was 20, 21 years old, but then you can say like good coach could probably, teach him how to read the game. He kind of reminds me of, Stones when he was struggling at City, 3 or 4 years back. He was always making mistakes. And if you looked at him, it looked like he was, almost confused what to do, where to go, who to mark. And Maguire reminds me of, same Stones. Like he plays like that, makes bad decisions, and, and probably, the kind of controversy he's had, like when he went on the vacation, and the price tag that has gone to his head as well. Like he's very short on confidence, and you could see it that when he's playing. But that might be having an effect on him as well.
Yeah. It's a weird thing with Maguire, and I don't know. I mean, I just feel that it's something that can't be coached. And I mean, again, I don't want to dwell too much on it, so we'll talk more about it in some other show. But yeah, it's just there's just something that is there with Maguire. I don't know whether it's in his head, whether it's where it is, but he's just not. I just feel that he needs to be dropped for his own career. I think he needs to be dropped at this point, and we'll see what happens afterwards. But I mean, he's been lucky a little bit to be playing, but yeah, and we'll see what happens. They've got a big game again tomorrow against Brighton, by the way. I know this is not a preview show, but they've got one of that. I will actually do a little bit of preview as well, because we've got some Champions League games this week as well, so we'll do that as well. Gaurav, what do you think tomorrow against Brighton? What do you think the score will be?
It's a home game or an away game?
It's a home game. Not that it matters, but it's a home game for United. Yeah.
I honestly think United will struggle again. The kind of form they are in. Like apart from Sancho, none of the other players look like they're playing well. Even Fernandes, he's had a big drop of form.
Yeah.
And there's no one to control the midfield. That is the problem. You have to control it. If you see City or Liverpool or even Arsenal or Chelsea, you have to control the midfield. There's no player in that squad that can do that.
Well, the player is Matic, but he can't play for more than 40 minutes because he's 40 minutes. So they don't actually have anyone. Yeah. And of course, the depth is so bad right now. I mean, even if you drop Fernandes, who do you bring in? Because there's nobody who can come in. So yeah, it's just it's a bit, yeah. Well, what do you think the score is going to be?
I think it could be a 1-1 draw again.
That's a safe bet, isn't it? 1-1 draw. No, I think United. I think Brighton will win. I have a feeling about it because I feel that United, this time, and if they take the lead, they're going to be so panicking to get that second goal. They're basically playing for a 2-0. They're not playing for a 1-0 anymore. They're going to be playing for a 2-0, and I feel that's going to cause them problems, and they're going to lose that game because Brighton have some very good midfielders. They probably don't score a lot of goals, but they do have good midfielders who can play around United. So I have a feeling that Brighton could win this one. But I don't think United are winning it for sure. I think it will be a draw or it will be a Brighton win. I don't think United are winning it. That's for sure. But anyway, let's talk about the Champions League since we're here. Manchester City, they're going to be in the Champions League. They're going to be in action as well. fairly, not so nondescript as it usually is. They're going to play Sporting Lisbon. That actually is a very interesting tie because Sporting Lisbon are one of the more enterprising teams in Europe this season. They've got a very good coach in Ruben Amorim. Some decent players as well. How do you see this one panning out? Do you see, Sporting generally play a very expansive style, but you don't know if you want to play that way against City. But do you see Sporting doing that? They're just playing the expansive way, or do you see them kind of being a bit more pragmatic and a bit more conservative?
There'll definitely be a bit more pragmatic. Like every team plays like that against City. They'll probably not park the bus, but they'll play a lesser expensive game, I would say. But I think in the end, it will be an easy win for City.
Yeah, it has to be. They generally get easy draws, so then that's all fun with City.
Yeah.
No, I always have to get that in. I always have to say that. No, but it's interesting with City. Do you see Jack Grealish starting this one? Do you think he should be starting this game? Or
No, he's out. He's out for the game.
Oh, he's out.
Just confirmed him. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. That makes it easy then, isn't it? Yeah, because now you got Sterling as well, who's doing well on the left. So yeah, I suppose it makes sense. Why is he out, by the way? Is he injured?
He picked up a knock, in training.
No. Okay, one of those knocks
in
training.
Grealish, Jesus, and Palmer. All three of them are out.
Palmer wasn't going to play anyway, but yeah. Jesus, yes, yeah. Or is it one of those knocks that you get in training when you want to drop a player, so he gets a knock in training? It's one of those where Pogba gets a knock. Pogba gets a knock every time. Pogba in October, he always gets an injury. Right in October, like probably look at his career. Every time he gets an injury in October, and then he comes back in February. He always gets a knock. Or Neymar gets those injuries in December, doesn't even Christmas comes around.
And then goes to celebrate his sister's birthday, right?
Yeah, or whatever he goes to do in February. Anyway, that's very interesting though with Manchester City. I can see them winning this one. I'd be interesting to see Palhinha. I think that is one player that I would be interested in watching because I've heard a lot about him. Palhinha from Sporting Lisbon. Had a good Euros, and is someone who's doing very well. So it'd be interesting to see how he does against this City midfield because this is a very good City midfield. And if he can hold his own, that might help him in the future because City need a midfielder, don't they? They need a CDM to replace Fernandinho, a long-term replacement for Fernandinho. So yeah, might be a
definitely.
Yeah, they've got Rodri,
but I think,
maybe a backup. So maybe Palhinha might be a guy they might be interested in. I don't know. Are they interested in? Yeah.
I haven't heard any rumors about him, but there are rumors that the City are looking for midfielders to replace Fernandinho, but I don't think it will be a really high-profile signing. It will be someone we don't know, kind of average player just to play the backup role.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that they are interested in Palhinha. I was saying maybe that might be something that maybe there are other teams that will be interested in midfielders, so maybe there is something for him to do, put himself in the shop window to test himself. PSG Real Madrid, that is a fantastic game, though. Slobodka. And apparently Pochettino's future depends on this game now. PSG Madrid. It's a unique game, isn't it? Heavyweights clashing. Do you see PSG pulling this off? Because Madrid are in good form. They're a bit patchy, but they seem to be in good form. Do you see PSG pulling this off?
I think so. I honestly think even though Ramos is out for the game, I think he's injured, but I think PSG will come out on top.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because it will be PSG's attack against Madrid's defense. Madrid don't have a very good attack, and they have a good attack, but they're very patchy in terms of goal scoring. They generally win by 1 goal, or get a draw, they win by the odd goal or by 2. They don't really score a lot of goals, but they do have a very good defense. So it'd be interesting if Messi can work against that. He does have a good record against Real Madrid in general, so that will be a good match of Messi against Madrid. Watching that, but I don't know what to make of it. I think the first leg will be a draw. I just have a feeling the first leg will be a draw, and then we'll see what happens in the second leg. But that's what I feel will happen. But that'll be a nice one as well to watch out for. And then we've got Inter against Liverpool, which I think is, again, another nice little tie. Inter they were doing well in the league, but they've now lost and drawn their last 2 games. So they're kind of struggling. Liverpool obviously flying high. It's pretty much Inter's defense against Liverpool's attack, isn't it? It's just one of those games where you just hope that Inter can hold out again. But do you see a way in for Inter in this match?
I think they can put up a fight. Liverpool, even though they are winning games, but their defense has been kind of leaky. The defense, and they have struggled to score goals as well. But Salah and Mane are back, so that thing is sorted out. But it could be a good game. I think Inter could at least get a draw. Like Liverpool are not a good form, they can definitely get a draw.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's a home game for Inter, so maybe they can go. I still feel Liverpool will go through in the tie, but yeah, that's one thing. And then there's Red Bull Salzburg against Bayern, but we don't need to talk about that. I mean, I know Bayern lost to Bochum, but yeah, and then let's be honest, they should win this one. It's a matter of how many goals they will score against Salzburg. But Salzburg do have some couple of players that might be worth looking out for. So I mean, there's some interesting players that they have that one might be interested in keeping an eye out for. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much about how many Bayern can score, really. So yeah, anyway, well, thank you, Gaurav, for that. A little bit of a nice little preview of the Champions League. We're not going to be doing a Champions League review show, in all honesty. Probably we won't, because this is the first leg. We'll do them after the second legs once we know who's in and who's out. We have a fair idea, though, I think, of who's going to go through and who's not, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining me. It's always nice. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
It was good to be here. Right.
Yeah. And if you did enjoy this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're closing in on 150 subscribers on YouTube, so please do help us reach that mark. And we are close to 500 likes on Facebook as well, so help us get that reach that milestone as well. So please do remember to do that, and also share it with your friends, family, anybody else who knows, who might be interested in football, may not be interested in football, doesn't matter. Just share it with them, so they can also join it. But have a good day or night by the time you're watching this. And let us about your comments. What do you think about the game as well? What do you think about the games? What do you think about the ones that are coming up? And we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.